The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome, FISPA members. Today's webinar is on MailChimp. We're going to get started in a minute or two. First, I wanted to just say hello, and we'll do a little housekeeping. This is part of a series of webinars suggested by the Social Media Committee and Get the Clicks to help FISPA and its members refine and improve the use of their internet marketing and social media. And it's a way to fulfill one of FISPA's tenets, which is to help you improve your businesses. On the housekeeping side, we do have you muted, so if you have questions, please type them in the chat box in the webinar control panel on your screen. And we've allowed plenty of time at the end of the presentation. I will read the questions, and Fred and Jen will help us. And with that, I'd like to turn the presentation over to the father-daughter team of Fred Wheeler of Wheeler Business Consulting and Jen Wheeler of Get the Clicks. Welcome, Fred and Jen.
Good morning. Thank you, BJ. And thanks all for taking time out of your busy day to spend some time with us. Again, you know, this is a series of sales training webinars we've done for our friends at FSPA. Jen is the brains of the outfit. She's my 28-year-old daughter, if nobody knows that. But what I'll be doing is going through a presentation for you. At the end, we'll have a Q&A session, and there's actually a chat that you can type in questions that BJ will be monitoring during this presentation. And Jen is actually going to keep me on track here. So just real quick, again, thanks for joining. What we're going to talk about is email marketing in general. MailChimp is one of the tools you can use for email marketing. So what I prefer, there's others like Constant Contact that people use, but it's all the same idea. So just real quick, we're going to look at the sales process in general. And the sales process, again, runs, you know, you're taking a ton of contacts, you're turning them into leads, opportunities, and out the bottom falls some sales. And in sales in general, it's a 10% rule. About 10% of each stage you go through, you'll end up with 10% of that in the next stage in the sales process. So again, if you put in 1,000 direct contacts, you're going to end up with about 100 warm leads, which is going to end up to about 10 opportunities, and it'll usually end up with sales somewhere in the 5 to 7 range. So you know, you got to put a lot out to get a lot in to get a lot out of it, but it does work if you follow the process. Excuse me. So we look at the sales and marketing tools, and that's kind of the way we look at it. What are the tools you have to do marketing and sales? I've heard sales and marketing so many times, it confuses me a little bit because marketing leads to sales. It's not the opposite. So you look at your marketing tools like your website and MailChimp and again, pay-per-click ads and social media and SEO. Again, another marketing tool is trade shows like you see in the lower left-hand corner, or product demonstrations. Then you take the results from that and you put it into more of your sales process. And again, Salesforce is a great tool for that. Sales flyers and in-person meetings. And again, hopefully at the end, you end up with some contracts. And generally, if you follow the process, that's what you do. So I'm going to talk about marketing first and foremost. I always consider your business card is one of your best marketing tools. Most people know that you pull out a business card and go to hand it to somebody, the very first thing that they're going to do is reach for one of theirs. So again, what I do and a lot of good salespeople do is whenever they meet someone anywhere, first thing they do is reach for that tool, that business card. And then you gather those business cards and that data, which again is your contacts. Anybody you touch is a contact. So you take those contacts, and the idea is to migrate those contacts into leads. You can look at that with what I consider indirect and what is considered indirect marketing, which is something like social media marketing, Facebook, LinkedIn. and more direct marketing, which is, constant contact and what we're talking about today, which is email marketing. Some people ask, does that work? And I'm going to break out of this presentation for just a second to show some of the results that we've seen. So if we look at, we looked at LinkedIn. Again, LinkedIn gives you a whole bunch of connections right now. We have 8,253 connections on LinkedIn, but there's all these little places where you can say happy birthday or congratulations. One of the things I did recently in the last few months was I had a title change. I took on a new role in my business, sent that out, and here's what happened. These are the results. Of those 8,000 contacts that I changed on LinkedIn, I got over 1,000 emails saying congratulations, let's catch up. Glad to see you're doing well. So again, that's just taking those leads and starting that migration process into those contacts and turning them into leads. It works really well. But again, back to MailChimp is what this presentation is about. So we're going to look at more direct marketing with MailChimp. And again, it's all about taking those contracts and migrating them into leads. Again, there are other tools out there. MailChimp is good. One of the things we like about MailChimp, if you have under 2,000 contacts, MailChimp is free. So again, there's no cost. It's just a matter of your time to use it. Jen, you have anything to add?
No, so far I think you're on track.
Okay. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through a live MailChimp exercise here in just a second. But I just wanted to give you an overview. This is what MailChimp's dashboard looks like. It does have, again, a home page, a list of campaigns, templates you use. That's how you develop things. Lists, which, believe it or not, is where you start, but it's down the list here a little bit. A lot of reports and automation, and there's a lot of great data you can get out of MailChimp once you've sent out an ad campaign. So again, campaign creation. There are a couple of different screens. Just to keep it simple, you just create a campaign, and the first screen everybody go to was a bunch of options. I usually just use the plain old regular campaign, and then it asks you for a list to attach. So again, the first thing you need is the list, so you can, when you get to this stage, you know what list to attach. And again, there's many lists that I'll show you when we get into that piece. So in the campaign creation, you have to give it a name. You can put a nice header on it, an email subject matter, so when the person you email it to can see that, and you can kind of talk to that and raise some interest. And who it's from, what the business is. Go ahead, Jen.
Keep in mind, if you decide to use MailChimp, they are really good at kind of coaching you through these things. If you see on the screen how it says, how do I write a good subject line, they'll actually coach you on the best ways of how to write that individual subject line so that you have a higher open rate.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Again, the next screen you would look at is they have a selected template. I generally just go with basic templates, and it'll take you a screen like this where it, again, coaches you through how to design it, where to put an image, and then again, you just move boxes in of the type that you want, whether it's another image or just text, and you build a campaign off of it. The results at the end of the campaign, and normally what I do is I don't even look at this for a week. At the end, it'll actually give you results, which you can sort any way you'd like. The general rule of thumb, if you send out one of these ad campaigns, if someone has opened that email more than twice, they are very interested, and make sure you follow up. So that's the next step. So if you look at some of these, even I, show an interest. This top person on this campaign that we're looking at actually open that email 35 times, that doesn't mean they're interested. That means they're very interested. That's generally a phone call. The rest, again, just a quick email follow-up. And again, this is just an example of that. Did you see our article? Some people get a little spooked if you write them and say, oh, by the way, I see you opened my email 35 times. You don't want to do that. You know, a follow-up would be something like, did you see our article? Or I've heard you have interest in it. Just send them a hard copy or some more supporting marketing material to go along with that, and follow through with that campaign you just put out. Content, what do you write about? Some of the articles that I've written in the past, this article here is, again, something I wrote about the FSPA convention last year. Just news. Is there a new product you have, a new solution you have for your market, for your customers? Is there something good you've done? Like, you know, if you see, look on the left-hand side of the screen, something that my company, ATD, did. You know, we've helped the flood victims in Louisiana by putting in temporary branches for them when they're flooded out. Or over on the right-hand side, you know, that's what I'm writing now, where, you know, we've developed a machine that's actually going to be the bank or the financial institution in a lot of underserved communities in the Appalachian Mountains. Things like that, good news stories, community events. Like I said, new products. If you have a new solution you've come out with, send it out there. Marketing, if you look on television, they don't have commercial on once, and there's a reason for that. So marketing is repetitive. End users, consumers, will forget about you. So it's good to be in front of them and have them thinking about you from time to time. Can it be too much? Absolutely. My rule is I have others that send me emails every day, and honestly, my opinion is that just turns into noise after a while, especially with me. When I see an email that comes from the same people every day, I generally don't read them. The rule of thumb is about once a month. Send something out there once a month so that people actually are interested and actually do look at your information and open it up. So educational stuff is great. If you can just, even if you just recopy something educational that you found on the internet, great thing to again share with, you know, your contacts and your audience. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and jump out of this, and we're going to get into MailChimp.
I have one thing I would like to add about content. Another thing which you also do if any of you were part of our little group at the FSPA show this past year, we kind of talked about content and how you can reuse things. If you write a blog on your website, you can also use something like MailChimp to email that blog out to people with the link to your website and send traffic back to your website, which is going to help your SEO as well.
No, absolutely, and that's a great point. And again, one of the methods that we use is we will, you know, write a blog. We'll make sure that it goes out on LinkedIn for those indirect contacts, and we'll make sure it goes out on our MailChimp list. So again, it goes to those direct and indirect contacts. The interesting thing is you never know who's going to be most interested in it. So don't really limit your list too much because you never know. I've had contacts that I thought you know, weren't interested in what we were doing at all, and I sent out an email, you know, a MailChimp email blast. Next thing you know, they're calling me going, hey, we want to know more. And sorry we haven't talked to you in a while. So it's pretty interesting to do that. So again, with MailChimp, I'm just going to pop back and forth here a little bit just to show you on the upper left-hand corner is the home page. So again, we just select the home page, and that'll get us back no matter where we are. So the first thing you start with is lists. Where do you get that list? You can start by compiling a list like I have. Let me just pull this up. on an Excel spreadsheet. So again, I just compiled lists of business cards and contacts that I've had over the last year and brought this into a list. So you go to lists, and you can create a list. You can import a list. There's many different things, and you can segment your list. So, excuse me, just on this example, I have a list of just people I've met at trade shows. FSBA, of course. One particular group I'm a member of, ATMIA, and I have a master list. So again, if there's subject matter that's just pertinent to one of these groups, I can send it to them, or I can send it to this master list. If you notice, it does keep track of all the subscribers you have and what your open rates are. When we go into some of the reports, you'll see that the industry average, honestly, is pretty low. These numbers at this 29 and 30% is actually very, very good. One of the things to look at when you get the amount of opens is your content. What are you writing? Is it of interest? If you see your number of opens go down, that means pretty much your content's a little bit off. So creating a list.
If that percentage is over 15%, you're doing all right.
Absolutely. Yeah, again, 15%, you're doing pretty good. Like I said, the 29% is means your subject matter is right on where it needs to be. Again, create a list. You can just create a new list. You would name the list. I'm not going to go through this all the way. The name of the list, the default, and then again, you can just import the information from that list. Once you have a list like this master list, you can manage them. You can manage subscribers. So you can look at all the subscribers. You can unsubscribe, in other words, take people off the list. You can segment it into groups, different segments, and a lot of great information there. To add subscribers, you don't have to generate a whole new list. It's pretty simple. To add a subscriber, you would just put in just general information, their email address, their first name, their last name, and generally what MailChimp is looking for is to check one of these boxes, or both of them. So I generally check both of them when I'm adding someone to a list. So again, the person basically gave me permission, they gave me contact, they gave me a business card. If they're already on my list, update their profile. In other words, don't make a duplicate. One of the things you don't want to do is send 5 emails to the same person. So that's where you start with lists. And then you go back to, again, back from the,
what
go ahead, Jen.
MailChimp is trying to prevent happening here is people using lists that they bought from somewhere and people sending out a lot of spam to people. So by checking that box, you're saying, I actually know this person, they gave me their contact information. And one of the things that I stress with people, because I have people ask me all the time, hey, this company called me, they'll send me a list of contacts, and I can buy this list from them, should I do it? The answer is always no. It's not going to work for you. So finding those contacts, you have to do yourself. So just keep that in mind when you're going through this.
No, absolutely, and great point, Jen. When you buy a list from somebody, you'll see your rate drop right off, and they generally want quite a bit of money for those lists. Generating your own is the best way to go, because they're actually people. If you have a business card, that means you've touched that person. You've actually stood in front of them, and that's a much better contact than buying a list. Like Jenny, I get emails almost every day trying to sell me contacts. And generally, number one, most of the time the contacts are pretty good. Number two, it's a waste of money. So again, the best way is just that personal touch. And you won't believe, you go to a trade show, and every time I go to a trade show, I come home with at least 30 business cards in my pocket, at least 30 contacts. So again, going to someplace like FSBA through our convention is a great way to get those contacts. And again, now that person knows you, so the odds are a lot greater that they're going to actually look at what you're sending out. If you're just buying contacts, it's not going to work.
Your open rates are going to go down, and eventually MailChimp and these platforms, they will kick you off and not allow you to use them anymore if they think you're doing something like that. Can we pause for a second? I'd also like to make a note. Can you open that spreadsheet again for me real quick?
Sure.
Your
my
Excel. No, yeah, your Excel document.
Yeah, there we go.
Make a note of how this is organized. The more you have this broken out, the easier it's going to be when you go to input this into a system like MailChimp. Because if you upload a list and you already have it sorted out by first name, last name, email address, URL, the business, you want them all in their individual columns so that MailChimp can take that information and digest it easily and organize it into a list that you can use. If you just throw it all in here and don't separate it out like this, you're going to have to do that anyway. So once you start making this spreadsheet, make sure you break it out as much as possible into different columns.
And a great point, Jen. So yeah,
we do have
homework first. Go ahead.
We do have a question on how does MailChimp compare to my Emma?
Honestly, go ahead, Jen.
I personally am not familiar with that platform, so.
Honestly, neither am I, so I couldn't tell you. I've worked with basically two, and they're pretty much the leading two, Constant Contact and MailChimp. My Emma, I've never used before, so.
I also have a question about putting my lists in there. Because after realizing I was only going to use this for emailing, I thought if I put the street address and stuff like that in there, then I have to maintain that information. And does it make sense to put the street address and the city, state, and zip code, because every time I get an update, I have to update it there, and I'm updating in Outlook, and I'm updating QuickBooks, and you're maintaining these lists. Is there a reason to put the address detail in MailChimp?
No, you don't need to do that. There's no reason.
And again, if you look at the list, generally, again, it's email address, first name, last name, are the main things you need to put in there. You can put other information in there. What I did with this, again, with the spreadsheet, is I keep this, and you notice this is very colorful. One of the things I did was I color-coded where those leads came from. So I have other lists in there that, again, are an FSBA list, a trade show list, an ATMIA list. I actually color-coded all the lists before I compiled them all. So now I know that I can go back to those other lists and gather more data from them. But with MailChimp, again, the main subject matter are those three. Make sure you have, again, their email address, their name, first name, and last name. And then when you follow up, you can always track it by email address and who they are and where you met them.
Yeah, any other information that you would put into here, for example, if you wanted to auto-generate their address into your email that you're sending out for some reason, then you would potentially put that type of information into your list, but other than that, it's not necessary.
And
absolutely,
when are you using segments and groups in your list, Fred?
No, I don't use them currently. Generally, the way I segment is by list. So if you go back to, again, just I created different lists for different market segments. So if we go back to lists, you'll see again I've segmented it this way. So when I want to make a group, I just make another. What I do is I make the list, and then I put them all into the master.
Okay. Can we go on a record and just, Jen, do you use segments or groups?
Very rarely. Usually if we have a master list that is all contacts that we have, so sometimes we'll segment out people that are already clients of ours as opposed to just everyone. But for the most part, the way that Fred is showing it is the easiest way to do it.
Okay. Because here again, for everybody listening, and I'll talk about the FISPA issue, is I was creating lists of suppliers versus dealers. But it's easy, and then I have a master list. So it means if somebody sends me an updated email and their supplier, I'm updating it on the master list and in the supplier list. And I was thinking of combining those into a master list and using the groups to differentiate whether it was a supplier or a dealer, again, just for the ease of keeping everything current and keeping the addresses up to date. So I just didn't know if you had any thoughts on that.
I want to say when you update the contact information, that checkbox at the bottom of, you remember when we were showing how to input people into a list? I believe when you update the contact information for a person, it would do it for all of the above. But that's something I would have to look at a little more.
And I believe, BJ, I believe that's what it does. And folks on the call, what it does is it updates all the lists. So yeah, all you have to do is put the update in, and then check this box when you add the up, and it updates their profile.
Okay.
So
well,
that's honestly that's
show
all
me.
I did.
I'm not that easy. Show me. Now go to manage, because you want to find a subscriber and then edit it. I'm curious.
Manage subscribers. Let's see. Generally, what I do is
you have to
view
go into an individual person. Go under manage and then view.
View everybody. I live in this world. Everybody just was always sending me new email addresses.
Okay.
And
all right.
Click into it. If you click the checkbox, the actions.
Yeah. Yep.
Nope.
Unsubscribe.
You just double check on it. It gives you a chance to update it. I've updated it. Hold on. Just double click on it without it checked. There you go.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the edit button next to subscriber details.
Yeah, I haven't done it this way before.
And then it just has a save. It is not, for me, it's not updating any other list.
Okay.
Okay. In your particular case, then yes, I would use groups inside of a master list. If you get that and that happens to you on a regular basis, that's how I would do that.
Okay.
Yeah, and again, generally what I do is if I get new information, I just do an add. So I go to lists, and then I add a subscriber, which means I put in their updated information in here, and then I check this, and it updates the information that's in there. In other words, it overwrites what's in there, and from what I've seen, I believe it does all the lists.
Okay.
So that's the way I update. I don't edit their information. I just put it new. That way I don't have to go find them in the list. I just added it. Okay?
Thank you.
Oh, not a problem. Sorry, I didn't have the answer right away. So that's list. I think I'm going to, go on the campaigns, because that's the next step as you're creating a campaign. So we're going to create a campaign. Generally, again, what I do is just do a regular campaign. So I'll select a regular campaign. Then I'll choose the list to send it out to. I'll say I want to send it out to my FSPA list. It does ask you for group or segmented. I'm always doing, again, entire list. Okay?
But you can segment out specific groups of people, and then it will save it for the future.
Absolutely. You can do the segmenting. So again, we just go to next. Again, if you missed it on the bottom of the screen, I just go to Setup. Campaign name is Test 2. Email subject matter. We just put something in there. Pizza is expensive. The from name, you can change that. And again, an email address. You can personalize your infield. I generally don't do that. I leave the tracking on and just the standards for this. Jen, anything?
Yeah, I recommend, will you scroll up, please?
Yep.
This from name, it says to put in your company name, but if you think that the group of people is going to recognize your name, it's more personalized coming from you as opposed to your company. So if you believe that people are going to recognize your name, then use your name. If you believe that they're going to recognize your company more than you, or maybe you want to put the owner of the business or whoever, your salesperson that was in front of these people, just keep in mind that that's whatever people are going to recognize, they're more likely to open.
Absolutely great point. And then again, going back to the theory that we get business cards, we get contacts by personal contact. I've always believed in, like Jen recommended, the personal touch. So I'll put in my name there instead of my company name. Again, this is a lot of data you can get. I'm a simple guy. I keep it simple. I want to track my opens. I want to track my clicks, how many people clicked on it. Social media. Again, you can auto-tweet it. You can, if you have a link, you can post it to Facebook. And you can do, there's more options where you can convert it to a video. But just for today's basic sake, this is a basic campaign. So the next step in creating a campaign is templates. So MailChimp does a great thing of providing you with multiple templates. Again, being a simple guy, I always select a simple template. Okay, so it does have a place to put in pictures, design your email, and again, if you want to put the text in, you just drag the block in and put in a text block, and it'll add a text block. And then the editing is over here, so whatever block you're on, you do your typing over here. One thing never to forget is these blocks are full of data. If you don't delete it, it'll stay in there. So just getting rid of it real quick and then just typing in, you know, the pizza is expensive, whatever. Yeah, my typing is horrendous.
Better and better as we go along.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, so you can put text in. If you want to put in an image, you can just browse and upload an image. Any images that you've uploaded before are all in here. So you can just select one of those, or you can just upload it from your computer. I'll just select an image that's in here, and it'll go in and populate that that picture. If you did want to put an image in, so that you get to the next step just by hitting Save and Close. And again, you can drag a block in, you can browse, upload an image. It's actually pretty simple. My computer's a little slow. So again, we'll just upload an image, and again, there it is in the text block. So that's just a quick overview of how you do that. If you need to delete any of these, just put it in the garbage can. It'll ask you if you want to delete. On the bottom, it has your mailing address, a little disclaimer. You can put that in, or you can just delete it. So just remember, save and close. It tells you where you're going to be dropping a box. Put the write in the information, and it populates it or import the picture. The next thing you would do is confirm.
One thing to note when you are creating emails in these, it's going to look pretty, but the majority of email services do not load pictures automatically. So whatever you are trying to say in your email that you're sending out, you want to make sure that you're saying it in the text of your email. Don't rely on an image to say everything that's going to be in that. Some people like to send out just a PDF in that. A PDF is an image. It's not going to load unless someone says, okay, load this into my email. So make sure that the text is not too much. Keep it short and sweet. Unless you're putting a full article in there. Most of the time I recommend just a little snippet and then linking to where you had written the full article because people's attention span is short. But make sure that you're not heavily relying on images when sending emails.
Absolutely. And again, that's a great point, Jen. And once you get, confirm, one of the things that MailChimp does do is it looks at the basic requirements. It'll tell you that, you have an issue, you should go back and resolve it. All you have to do is click on resolve, and it'll go back and resolve it. The next step would be to test. So if you want to see what it looks like, you can actually send yourself a test email of what you've just written. And see what it looks like before you broadcast it out to those, few hundred people. And honestly, those are that's the basics of MailChimp. I'm just going to go back to home, and we'll just look at the campaigns. One of the things you always want to do is look at this open rate. So the last thing you do is, how am I going to use this? I sent this out to a bunch of people, and what information can I get from that? So again, here's the article that I published about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So I can see what that is, that campaign is. I want to view the report. I want to see exactly what that did, how many people opened it, who opened it. So MailChimp will generate a report with a lot of good information in it. And my computer's a little slow right now. So again, if you had something with orders in it, it would track your orders, how much you sold. This wasn't an ad like that. It'll tell you exactly how many were open, how many were bounced, how many emails didn't like, and how many unsubscribed, how many people just said, you know what, I don't want to see stuff from this source again. You're always going to get that. Don't feel bad. Bounced emails, people change jobs and change emails, addresses all the time. Unsubscribed, there are going to be people that just, again, aren't interested in what you have to say. There's going to be some, but it does happen. So all I did was, sorry, I got ahead a little bit here. All I did was I clicked on the open, which again gets me to a report that you can actually export this into Excel. And if you want to, what I do is I look at, okay, who opened this? That one article, this one person opened it 65 times. That tells me they're real interested. Again, and it'll actually sort by the number of opens. So again, great data for you to go by and follow up on. So of all those opens, you know, I've got a pretty good list here of people that have opened it more than twice is the rule of thumb. I've got a couple of pages of follow-ups that I need to do. One of the other things you can do is I actually crack all of these, I'll put them side by side and compare every thing that I've sent out. And again, if I have a person that steadily opens things more than 3 times, I'll make, it won't be an email, it'll be a phone call, just to say hi, and you know, I see you're interested in what we're doing. How can we help you? Can we do something for you? That type of stuff. So anyway, that's the down and dirty and the real basics of MailChimp. Jen, do you have anything to add at this point?
I have a couple of things. One, for whomever asked about the comparison between MailChimp and Emma, if you email me, I'll send you a link that does a side-by-side comparison of the two services. Like I said, I personally haven't used it before. It looks like when it comes to using Emma, there's a lot of configurations that are different. You really can't plug into your website if you're using a CMS, and there are just some things that MailChimp does and makes easier than Emma does. Like I said, I'll send you this link, but I would urge you to try MailChimp because it is free to a certain amount, and then you can kind of do your own comparison. One of the other things I wanted to make note of, people ask me pretty regularly why you have to use something like this. And when BJ first came to me and said she was using her normal email to send out email blasts, I almost scolded her in a way. I didn't mean to, but there's a reason why you want to use services like this, and not just because it makes it easier for you, but because if you send out bulk amounts of emails from your regular email, if you're using Outlook or Gmail or whatever you're using, if people start hitting this and seeing that it's spam, like if they report you as spam, your IP address for your domain name can get blocked. You can get your email, and if your website is also attached to that same IP address, you can get blocked and won't be able to use your email at all. So this is kind of a safety net in preventing things like that to happen. So if anyone is using regular email service to send out email blasts, I highly recommend trying out something like MailChimp instead.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So just real quick, and then we're going to open up for more questions. If you want to learn about more sales growth, don't forget, and then please come and attend the conference. We have it set up for this coming May in Las Vegas, Nevada. So again, we'll be having, like we always have, a lot of good educational presentations and a chance for you to meet a lot of the people that do these webinars for you at the FSPA conference in Las Vegas. So please come join us. May 11th through 20th. And that said, want to thank Get the Clicks and my daughter Jen for helping us with this. And again, my name's Fred Wheeler. I work for Wheeler Business Consulting is my company, and also Automated Transaction Delivery. If you need anything, there's contact information on here. BJ knows where I am all the time. I think my wife's getting jealous. We talk so much. But that said, unless, Jen, you have anything to add, or BJ?
We got a bunch of questions.
Okay, let's go into questions.
Okay. Oh, the one that's using Emma is David Barnes from Isotech, and he's also our major person questioning today. So I'll start with David, your list of questions. One question is, how the heck do they make money if there's no charge for the service under 2,000 contacts? I know that every time I go in there, there's an ad, and I certainly get all kinds of retail ads Obviously, Amazon and Dover Saddlery and Orvis follow me around. So there are ads when you go in, when you first enter the site. But once you're in MailChimp, I don't see any ads. Do you have any idea how they make money?
Well, there are two ways that they make money. You hit the nail on the head with the first. And if anyone is interested in remarketing ads, that's what those are. You have been on those two websites that you were just talking about, and a cookie was dropped on your browser, and those ads are now following you around. And that is a service that we offer. So if anyone wants to be creepy and follow people around on other websites, let me know. I'll point you in the right direction. But the other thing is that they make their money off of advertising and people that use this on a larger scale. So once you get over that 2,000, you have to pay for it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a pretty, and honestly, BJ, just as a point, that's a pretty common method today, where people will offer you things to use for free in hopes that you will get into the paid category. So you'll see a lot of that in every market today. Video games are pretty horrendous at that. They'll give you a free method, and the first thing they do to the kids is, oh, you want to get to level 2, you have to pay us. But it was free a minute ago. So again, if you keep it under that 2,000 mark, I actually just went over it. I've been using MailChimp for probably 3 years absolutely for free. So okay, next question.
Do we know whether they are selling our contact list, so we have faith that they're not?
They shouldn't
like everybody else, I scroll through the user agreement and didn't read it, I have to admit.
Yeah, I can't say 100%, but I would probably think that would be an issue if they were. And I want to say 90%, I would say no.
I believe in their user agreement it does say that your contact lists are yours. They're not going to sell them. So, and I haven't seen any of those complaints from anybody that I know that uses MailChimp or contact.
And
for that fact.
I do put my own. I put an email to me on my list just to see, so I get a copy of the email to keep it to organize my campaigns, and I haven't gotten anything other than the usual garbage I get just from visiting websites. I can't say there's anything extraordinary about what happens because of MailChimp. So here's another question from David Barnes, and I'm familiar with this because you can actually preview your email. I don't know, Fred, if you can get back in that screen, but it lets you see what your campaign's going to look like on a smartphone and on a tablet, which is really pretty cool. So if you go into your campaign and just pick one and go through the screens, in your design process, it'll let you actually preview it. Once you're in there.
Yeah, hold on just a second. Let me get to one of those. Yeah, this is actually a done campaign. But yeah, and BJ, you're absolutely correct.
Go back to your pizza. Go back to your new pizza one because you haven't sent it yet. Go edit. And go back, hit the back button, and it'll take you where you can preview. Yeah, there you go. You can enter preview mode, and it will allow you to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
So you've got desktop, mobile, and inbox.
So you can actually see what they all look like, and this is just my computer taking a minute to load. And again, one of the things that I do is you can actually get back to, hold on just a second, and send yourself a test email. So one of the things you can do with that email is to send yourself a test email. And that's what I do. Not only do I do preview mode, but I send myself an email so I can see that it came through, everything looks good, the text looks great. I always do that.
I also find Fred, that it's much easier to proofread your spelling mistakes when you receive the email than it is when you're sending it. So I always send a test, first of all, to make sure that my links and my buttons are working in my email, and also because if you're going to find a spelling mistake, you're going to find it after you press the send button. So it's easier to send it to yourself and read the test, you know, just spell check your own email when you send it.
Absolutely, and then go ahead.
I usually use that send test email to send one to myself and one to another person to have another set of eyes on it before it goes out to a big group of people.
That's a great idea. Okay, so the next question is, what metrics drive your ratings?
Oh, the ratings on the MailChimp ratings? Jen, do you know what that is? Honestly, I haven't used that. So
I'm assuming we're referring to the star rating that's there. What's driving that is percentages. So it's the number of people that opened it. It's, you know, the percentage of opens, how many people opened it more than once. Each individual person inside your list has a rating. So if you send things to them in this, if you send multiple things to them off of this list, their rating is going to change over time depending on how many times they've opened things that you've sent. It's basically just based on percentages, what you've done compared to how your audience has reacted to it.
Okay. All right.
Now let's talk about the Google Analytics from an e-letter campaign. How does the Google Analytics work with this?
Well, it depends on how you set it up. If you are sending people to your website from this email campaign, which I highly recommend because you're sending people to your website, there is a way when you put a link in an email, there is a way that you can generate a new URL to wherever you're sending them called a UTM code. If anyone wants to know more about how to generate a UTM code, please let me know. Send me an email. I will send you a link to a page that auto-generates them for you. What that basically does is it recreates the URL where you're sending someone from that email. And because you put that code in the URL, when you go into your Google Analytics, you can actually pull out exactly what traffic came to your website from that campaign that you drove. So you'll fill out certain information to generate this code. You'll use that as your link, as your URL in the email, and then when you go into your analytics, you can break that down. And if you want to get really advanced with it, if you're tracking conversions in your analytics, if you're tracking people that fill out a form when they get there, certain things like that, you can actually break it down. This many people came from this email campaign and filled out this form. So you can even break it down into conversions that way. It takes a little bit more to set it up that way. It's a little more complex, but it's definitely possible to do. So unless you're actually sending traffic to your website from this campaign, analytics will have nothing to do with this.
Okay. Now, David Barnes also asked, does MailChimp have an auto response feature from a website request for information? And the follow-on to that, can you subscribe to the email list directly from your website? Is there a way to link MailChimp to your website? How does it do that?
Yes, and it depends on what type of platform that your website is set up on. So if you're using something like WordPress, you can install certain plugins that there's something called SumoMe. That's a plugin where you can put a pop-up on your website that asks someone for an email address. You can then set up something like that to auto-generate a list inside of your MailChimp campaign. There are ways that you can connect MailChimp to your website depending on what type of platform that your website is built on. Our site, for example, anytime that we post a blog on our website, it's connected to MailChimp, and there's a list of people that if I post a blog on our website at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 4 o'clock, automatically that blog is getting pushed out in an email that I had already set up to automatically push out to a list of people. So there are a ton of ways that you can connect MailChimp to your website. It just gets a little complicated setting it up. It's a little tricky, but it's definitely possible.
And just to that point that Jen brought up, you can, if you're like me and you write at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's not a good time to be sending people emails. So you can actually, when you get your campaign set up, you can actually schedule it to go out at a better time. So 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 11 o'clock in the morning when people are awake, you don't have to wait and send it at that point. You can actually schedule that time when that campaign goes out. All right,
Okay.
BJ, any other questions?
I don't see any other questions. Anybody got anything?
Oh,
It looks like that's it. Yeah, it looks like that's it.
I'll just note, David, you had a lot of questions. If you want to reach out to me or to Fred directly, please feel free if you need more clarification on anything. I know sometimes my answers get a little technical, so if you need me to break anything down or answer anything else, please just reach out. I'd be happy to talk to you about it.
Have we got, Jen, have we got your email address up on their screen somewhere?
No. Their website is on there. You can just go to their website and get to Jenny.
Okay.
Or if I type in this chat box, can everyone see this? Let's find out.
I can actually put your email address in the questions and send to all. Hold on.
Actually, when I typed that in, it said it went to the organizers and panelists only. So yeah, if you just want to copy and paste that email address into that chat.
I just did a send to all, but again, if anybody didn't get that, just email BJ at FSPA1 and I'll share that with you. We'll also, just so you know, we've recorded this session. We will be putting this up on the FSPA website so you can view it or have people in your company view it in the future. I'm assuming, Fred, you'll email the slides to me and I'll send the slides out to everybody.
Absolutely. And again, if you have any questions and we can help you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll gladly answer your questions. Just a note, once you get something like this set up, I know everybody is strapped for time. MailChimp, I spend maybe 30 minutes a week on. I'll gather some emails, addresses, and I'll just put them in there. I spend more time creating content than anything else. But again, just managing, once you get it going, we're managing your MailChimp account and your LinkedIn account, for that note, takes little to no time to do it once you get started. So again, if you do decide to try MailChimp and you have any questions or get stuck, please don't hesitate to reach out to BJ at FSPA, myself, or Jen, and we'll be glad to help you. So with that said, BJ, I think we're good.
Okay. Thank you to all the attendees for spending your time with us today. And thanks to Jen and Fred for the effort they put in to put this together and put this on today. And just a reminder to everybody, if there's topics you'd like to see covered or you'd like to be doing a webinar presentation in the future, just let me know. Again, this idea today came from Cindy Owen at Comco. She had talked to me about a month ago about the idea of MailChimp and needing help with it. So the best ideas come from the FISPA members, so keep up that good work for me. Thank you. Thanks to everybody. I hope you have a great day. Thanks.
Absolutely. Have a great day. Take care.